Hey guys, I'm Jared, and today we're talking about what's new in board gaming as of October 21st, 2022. I'll be covering the latest news, announcements, most played games, hot new Kickstarters and crowdfunded games, and more related to board gaming for the past 2 weeks. At the end, I'll also be sharing what's going on behind the scenes with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So stick around, we've got a lot to cover. Leave me a like and comment on what kinds of updates that you want to hear more about. To make sure that you don't miss my news updates, new video tutorials, and our podcast episodes, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and your preferred streaming platform. Let's get started with some crowdfunding. First on our list from GameFound is In Dreams. It's an award-winning, slightly surreal game for one. Close your eyes and let the dream carry you through worlds never before imagined. The core deck of In Dreams provides card-based journaling prompts with vivid imagery and evocative text to immerse you in a dream world. The cards chain together in interesting ways to create millions of potential unique encounters. It's for ages 14 and up and provides a 20-minute playtime. You can fund it until October 30th. Escape from New York is an adaptation of John Carpenter's movie of the same name, which you play as Snake, Brain, Maggie, or Cabby and attempt to rescue the president and his precious tape and bring them to safety while dealing with the gangs of the most dangerous prison in the world, all of Manhattan. This card game employs area of effect and strategy. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and has a playtime of 40 to 90 minutes. It's on GameFound until November 18th. The second edition of Trick Shot is on GameFound as well. Trick Shot is a tense, tactical, fast-paced game of ice hockey with cool plastic miniatures and a streamlined rule set. The second edition of Trick Shot is a standalone game that offers new abilities for all the arena cards, introduces new player cards, as well as multiple improvements to gameplay and more. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays for 40 minutes. You can back it until November 17th. Next, Barbarian Kingdoms is an award-winning and fast-paced game of conquest and bluff for 3 to 6 players, featuring an innovative battle resolution mechanism. Lead a nascent kingdom in the early Middle Ages and take on your rivals to succeed the Western Roman Empire. This strategy game employs tower defense and area control and is for ages 12 and up. It has a playtime of 45 minutes, and you can back it on GameFound until November 8th. That's all on GameFound this time, so let's get into Kickstarters. First on Kickstarter is Frozen Frontier. Frozen Frontier is a deep Euro-style strategy game for experienced players. It's strategy-driven with area control elements and promotes healthy competition and positive player interaction. Receive permit cards to construct buildings on city tiles and settle specialists to run buildings and gain victory points. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays for 2 to 3 hours. It's funding until October 25th. Next up is Buffet Boss, the all-you-can-stack game. You'll have lots of choices in this food stacking game, in which good strategy is as important as good hands. This 2 to 5 player game for ages 6 and up provides a 20-minute playtime. Reveal cards, pick your favorite food, then stack them. Players with the most points win. You can back it on Kickstarter until November 6th. Clever Island, the discovery and fun learning board game, is an innovative board game that mixes classical board game play with 3D effects and multiple modes of play. Play your way. Clever Island includes games, puzzles, and fascinating facts that will make you smile. With 4 ways to play, it's a game for the whole family. It's on Kickstarter until December 10th. In the Heart of Darkness is a dynamic strategy and immersive survival horror board game filled with nightmares and your slim chance to make it out alive. Choose a protagonist, use your actions to find possessions, craft traps, and invoke rituals. Try to stop the creatures from advancing to the Heart of Darkness. This game is for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays for 15 to 40 minutes. You can fund it on Kickstarter until November 9th. Next on Kickstarter is Gathering Gloom, a killer co-op game. A monstrous family plagued by nosy neighbors wants to live in peace in this deck builder, worker placement, comic gothic horror game. It's a medium weight game for 1 to 6 people and funding until November 1st. Keep your friends close and your flashlight closer in The Stifling Dark, a one versus many hidden movement horror game. Move around the board in point-to-point fashion using base movement speed. Meanwhile, the adversary is secretly moving around the board, trying to stop the players from escaping. The adversary also has multiple attacks and abilities that change how you play the game. It's for 2 to 5 players ages 14 and up and plays for 25 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until November 3rd. Cool 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 is a party game of affirmative words where you and your friends are in a tongue-twisting, fast-drawing, card-slapping competition. The goal is to gather the most cards by the time someone is eliminated. This game is for 2 to 6 players ages 9 and up and plays for 8 to 18 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter until October 29th. Build your very own thriving jungle in Life of the Amazonia. Do this by discovering various wild animals, insects, and plants in this beautiful board game. Life of the Amazonia is a medium-weight, strategic meeple placing game that combines bag building and pattern building. It's for ages 14 and up, 1 to 4 players, and plays in 1 to 2 hours. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 11th. The acclaimed Deep Madness returns. Dive back into the cult classic co-op sci-fi horror game for 1 to 6 players with a new expansion. Deep Madness Reborn and Reprint is on Kickstarter until October 25th. It features immersive gameplay in an original world with engaging stories, deep lore, and callbacks to your favorite popular horror tales. The game board changes and has varying effects throughout the course of a single game. The new expansion includes new scenarios and reimagined monsters. Next on Kickstarter is a dynamic set collection game based on the 10 Plagues of Egypt. In 10 Plagues of Egypt, the card game, players race to complete pyramid goals before the next plague strikes. It's for ages 8 and up, 2 to 4 players, and plays for 20 to 45 minutes. You can back it until November 4th. 7th Sea City of Five Sails expandable card game is an evolving tabletop card game set in the 7th Sea world of swashbuckling and intrigue, exploration and adventure for 2 to 4 players. Players control one of 5 factions as they fight to influence, control, and explore the independent and unruly city of Five Sails. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 4th. A puzzly, tension-filled chase and escape cooperative and solo game experience has also hit Kickstarter. In 14 frantic minutes, players race to complete the circuits in each room to get one step closer to escape, and then complete the tricky final circuit before they're caught and run out of time. This polyomino placement and card game is for 1 to 4 players ages 8 and up and plays for 14 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter until November 4th. Roll to the Top, Pollen, and Big Top are a 3-pack of beautiful strategy games in one campaign. Roll to the Top is a roll and write where players try to make their way through 12 challenging landmarks. Pollen sees players planting the right gardens to attract pollinators, and Big Top is an auction game where cards you win affect your bids in the future. This bundle is on Kickstarter until November 3rd. In Skal, the Viking dice game, stack dice, collect cards, and raise toasts. Win glory to win the game. It's for 1 to 6 players ages 8 and up and plays in 10 to 20 minutes. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 10th. Cats vs. Pickles Mayhem is a game of cards where players draw cards, read them aloud, and either perform the instructions or choose not to. Opting to defy the instructions brings on mayhem. This game is for 2 to 4 players ages 8 and up and plays for 20 to 30 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter till November 8th. So Dead is a large group, fast-paced deck building game of player survival during the apocalypse. Up to 20 players will compete with random maps, weapons, armor, supplies, and other unique gear. Each player will collect as much loot as they can while trying to survive. It's on Kickstarter until October 23rd. The reprint and new expansion campaign for Wonderland's War called Shards of Madness is on Kickstarter until October 28th. Gather supporters and draft cards to compete for the loyalty of influential characters from Wonderland. Forge artifacts and wage battles. It's for 2 to 5 players ages 14 and up and plays in 70 to 90 minutes. Back it until October 28th. Next on Kickstarter is the Mosaic Wars and Disasters expansion and Premium Colossus Edition. This is the last chance to get the Premium Colossus Edition. Action selection, engine building, area control, resource management, and set collection make up the mechanics in the game for 1 to 6 players and plays for 2 hours. It's funding until November 10th. Oathwood Into the Deepwood 2nd Edition is on Kickstarter until November 15th. Manipulate multi-use abilities and, with the unique battle flow system, push your luck with an exploding dice card system that lets you choose how combat is resolved. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays for 90 to 120 minutes with a 30 to 60 minute story. Next up on Kickstarter is Just Run, a game of horror, betrayal, and escape. This zombie apocalypse is no picnic. Outrun the dead, outsmart your friends, and outlast the end of the world. With elements of tile placement, dungeon crawling, and deck building, this game is for 1 to 6 players ages 14 and up and plays for 90 to 120 minutes. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 18th. Deep Shelf is a board game of deep sea exploration, resource management, and research. Be wary though, because with each resource extraction, you run the risk of damaging the fragile ecosystem around you. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and has a playtime of 40 minutes per player. You can back it on Kickstarter until November 9th. Next up, Super Snipers is a fast and puzzly dueling snipers game for 1 to 2 players. It uses a polyomino mechanic in a unique way with tactical depth, simultaneous turns, and has virtually no downtime. It's for ages 14 and up and plays in 20 to 30 minutes. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 17th. Race to the Raft is on Kickstarter till November 10th. The Isle of Cats is on fire. Build paths, place tiles, and save cats in this cooperative board game for 1 to 4 players. It plays in 40 to 60 minutes. The award-winning painting game Canvas gets a reprint and new expansion. Finishing Touches adds a board extension and more transparent cards for your paintings. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 16th. In Genpei, the Emperor is dead. It's the player's duty to gain influence to claim the throne. Genpei stands out for its original mechanics where the players will chain actions to get them closer to victory by influencing more clans than their rival players. Easy to play and hard to master, it's for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 40 minutes. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 8th. Lastly on Kickstarter is the Aqua Garden Beach Combing expansion for 1 to 4 players. In this game, players pick up shells and trash from the beach with the aim to create a beautiful exhibition room and beach. It's for ages 15 and up and plays in 40 to 60 minutes. It's funding on Kickstarter until November 16th. Getting into the industry news, Renegade Game Studios announced that they are in negotiations to license Axis and Allies, Diplomacy, and more from Hasbro for publication via an expansion of their partnership. The previously anticipated video game adaptation of classic board game Catan will arrive on Xbox and PlayStation consoles sometime this year. Catan Console Edition will support local 4-player couch co-op alongside online multiplayer at launch. Next, Elden Ring, the board game, will recreate the video game's open world with a non-linear campaign mode, publisher Steamforged has revealed. Players will be able to wield a variety of weapons from the video game, as well as using Ashes of War weapon skills and summoning ghostly allies in the form of spirit ashes. A Kickstarter is due for announcement. Asmodee announced Welcome by Asmodee, a new distribution initiative for game publishers. Welcome was created to help game publishers by giving them a one-stop-shop point of contact within Asmodee to help develop custom solutions for distribution needs. Essenspiel dates for 2023 have been announced. It will run from October 5th through the 8th and will once again be held in the Messe Essen Convention Center in Essen, Germany. This keeps 2022's slot, which shunted the 4-day board game festival a week earlier than normal. 3 game industry veterans, Pierce Waters, Anthony Boyd, and Tyler Smith, have formed Multiclass Consulting, which will offer sales, marketing, logistics, and general business consulting to tabletop games companies. Chris Gabrielson passed away during last week's Essenspiel board game trade fair in Essen, Germany. Gabrielson was the founder, lead designer, and owner of Bad Crow Games, the studio behind the tabletop adaptation of the popular World War II real-time strategy PC game. Hasbro's total Q3 gaming sales, including all brands and both tabletop and digital games, were $509 million, down 23% compared to last year, according to the company's Q3 release and conference call. Klaus Teuber, creator of Catan, has announced a trilogy of books set in the world of Catan. Published by German board game and puzzle company Cosmos, the 576-page Catan der Roman, the novel, will be the first of 3 volumes penned by Teuber. The Tabletop Awards are a new set of annual awards aimed at celebrating the very best that the tabletop industry has to offer, from the greatest games of the year to the individuals and teams responsible for bringing them to life. Nominations for the Tabletop Awards 2022 will be open until midnight on November 14th, 2022. Publishers can find out more and submit their game for nomination via the Tabletop Awards website. Nominations are open to any game released during 2022. Lastly, in industry news, Deepwater Games, once part of the Oxeye Media Publishing Group, has spun off to become an independently operated organization. The new Deepwater Games will be led by original founder Jacob Way. Oxeye Media will be creating their own games division in the absence of Deepwater, titled Source Point Games, which will be led by Nolan Nasser. Now let's look at all the newly announced games and expansions coming to retail. Fireside Games will release Castle Panic 2E, a new edition of the classic tower defense game, into retail November 30th. The gameplay is relatively the same, where players need to slay all the monsters and have at least one tower standing to win. The new edition features all new artwork, a custom die, and heavier cardstock for components. This game is for 1 to 6 players ages 8 and up and plays in 45 minutes. In Tiny Epic Vikings, players assume the roles of the chief of a clan of Vikings. Gamelin Games will release Tiny Epic Vikings, a new board game, into retail in April 2023. Players will play the best builders, harvesters, explorers, and warriors to represent them. They will also raid islands, collect runestones, and build boats and temples to garner influence. The game is for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 30 to 60 minutes. Fantasy Flight Games announced Fortune and Folly, a new Arkham Horror the Card Game scenario pack, for release into retail on April 4th, 2023. In Fortune and Folly, players are getting in touch with their inner Ocean's 11 as they try to pull off a casino heist. A new co-op board game will put players in the cockpit of an airplane as it prepares to land. Sky Team is an upcoming release from Decrypto and Turing Machine publisher Scorpion Mask and designer Luc Raymond, which is due to launch next year. It employs heavy dice mechanics to influence everything from the plane's speed to adding value to themselves. Scorpion Mask is planning to release Sky Team as early as next August at Gen Con 2023. A new board game puts multiplayer board game spin on number puzzle game Sudoku. Hiroba borrows the classic Brain Teaser's 9x9 grid, in which players must place digits from 1 to 9 without repeating any numbers in the same row or column. Hiroba was released last month in the UK and France, ahead of an appearance at this year's Essenspiel board game convention in Germany. New card game Valbara will offer an even lighter alternative to Libertalia. Valbara uses a similar card initiative system to the popular pirate board game, in which players play one numbered card from their hand each turn before executing their actions from lowest to highest, hoping to gain doubloons and victory points. Valbara will be released in Q1 2023. Hachette Board Games announced 0 to 100, a new trivia game by Scorpion Mask, for release on December 1st. In this game, players try to guess correctly or at least be close as they answer a series of trivia questions. Players will divide into 3 teams and receive 6 question cards at random for each team. This game is for 2 to 12 players ages 12 and up and plays in 15 to 20 minutes. WizKids has announced Rebuilding Seattle, a game about the reconstruction of the city following the devastating fire in 1889. The new game will release in January. In Rebuilding Seattle, the players are tasked with overseeing the reconstruction of a neighborhood in the city of Seattle that has been destroyed. They must manage their resources to help the neighborhood expand by constructing new buildings and landmarks. It is intended for 1 to 5 players, thanks to the included solo player deck, and is recommended for ages 12 and up. Games take between 1 and 2 hours. Burnt Island Games revealed Fall of the Mountain King, a standalone board game for release on November 2nd. This game is a standalone prequel game to the In the Hall of the Mountain King. Players will build their own ancestry and compete against their rivals to defend the mountain from the trolls. It features several unique champions to guide players to victory, artwork that expands the Mountain King world, and a solo mode. Fall of the Mountain King is for 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up and plays in 30 minutes. A railroad building game from Rio Grande Games is in the works. Texas and Pacific, designed by John Borer, and set in the American Midwest and Texas during the 19th century. Texas and Pacific puts players in the role of wealthy ranchers and investors who are looking to the new railroads that will enable them to deliver their stock of cattle to lucrative markets in the north. Texas and Pacific is intended for 2 to 6 players and can be played in a bit less than an hour. Rio Grande Games revealed Fancy Feathers, a new card game by Friedman Fries, which will hit retail in December 2022. In Fancy Feathers, by the order of a baroness, players must mobilize to look for noble pheasants along a path. The goal of the game is to have the most precious collection of birds by game's end. The game's for 2 players ages 8 and up and plays in 15 to 30 minutes. 2 additional Minecraft-themed board games are coming from Ravensburger, the studio responsible for releasing Disney Villainous. Minecraft Portal Dash sees players attempting to escape the fiery pits of the Nether Dimension, an underworld that lurks beneath the earth of Minecraft's world. Minecraft Heroes of the Village is a co-op board game for 1 to 4 players. Heroes of the Village has the group working together to protect their home from invading villagers. Publisher Oink Games debuted Quickety Pickety at Essen Spiel. 2 to 5 players compete to pick the best sets of fruit from an array of scrambled tiles that start face down. In real time, using only one hand, players will begin flipping tiles over and grabbing ones they want into their personal supply. Scoring changes from round to round, and the first player to win 3 rounds wins the game. Spanish publisher Primigeno has announced Flowar, a worker placement game where players are collecting sets of flowers along with contracts and payment. There are economic aspects to the game, as you need to manage your workers appropriately, or else they might need to be fired or may go on strike. Flowar had a limited release at Essen Spiel, and wider retail availability is forthcoming. Fantasy Flight Games will release Gambit Hero Pack for Marvel Champions the card game into retail in February. Gambit's pre-built Justice deck comes ready to play with 15 of his signature cards. He has an ability to thwart an alter ego form and also features powerfully charged attacks. Additionally, the Hero Pack includes a modular encounter set featuring Exodus, the Herald of Magneto. Upper Deck Entertainment will release Marvel Legendary deck building game Midnight Suns expansion into retail on March 8th. This new set expansion allows players to recruit the Midnight Suns to battle against unholy hordes of the damned. Grey Fox Games revealed Ragnaroks, a new area control board game for release into retail on October 25th. In Ragnaroks, players assume control of a Viking clan that is using runestones to mark claims to their territory. The player that controls the most territory once all the Vikings have settled wins the game. This game is for 2 players, ages 10 and up, and plays in 15 to 30 minutes. Lucky Duck Games unveiled Destiny's Witchwood, the 3rd story expansion for Destiny's, which will head to GameFound for pre-order on October 25th. It introduces 12 new characters that each have 2 destinies to find and features 4 interconnected scenarios to play through. The expansion is more character-driven than other Destiny's scenarios, as NPC characters you meet may return in other scenarios or become playable characters. It supports 1 to 3 players ages 14 and up and plays in 90 to 150 minutes. Nerdcraft Games revealed Anarchy TCG, a new post-apocalyptic TCG that ties in with an upcoming original comic book series which will launch at Gamma Expo 2023. Anarchy is a 2-player TCG that combines elements of tabletop skirmish games and deck building into an entirely new game system. At Gamma Expo 2023, Nerdcraft will offer up the first 2-player starter box for the game. Renegade Game Studios unveiled 3 new expansions for the G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, and My Little Pony deck building games. These expansions are all headed to retail in Q4. G.I. Joe deck building game Cold Snap features a classic plotline where Destro has a weather dominator device and is freezing out the world. Players have to defeat Destro and then battle Zartan and his Dreadnought gang before the world descends into turmoil. My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria deck building game True Talents expansion allows players to take charge of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. It adds new characters, cards, hurdles, and challenges to the game. Power Rangers deck building game Flying Higher sends the Space Rangers off to free Zordon from the clutches of Asterna and the forces of Dark Spectre. Bandai will release Dragon Ball Super TCG Ultimate Deck 2023 into retail on May 5th. This new 58 card deck consists of entirely silver foil cards and comes with a 7-card Z deck as well as a Z03 booster pack. 25th Century Games has put Christmas Lights card game 2nd edition, a holiday card game, on pre-order for retail. In the game, players compete against each other to see who can build their sets of lights the fastest. This game is for 2 to 6 players ages 6 and up and plays in 10 to 30 minutes. Lastly, in game announcements, Railway Boom from publisher Okazu will debut at the 2022 Tokyo Game Market Autumn, being held October 29th through 30th. In this heavy train game, 2 to 5 players will take on the role of industrialists in late 19th century Japan, competing to gain the most fame through the country's expanding railways. Players will engage in auctions as they build out their network across the expansive hex-based map. Let's talk for a bit now about what's happening on the Meeple Mentor YouTube channel. First, did you know we have a Patreon page? It's available for fans of the podcast and channel to pledge as a patron and support us there. There's various pledge levels for small monthly support that helps grow the channel's content. You can get access to new content early, you'll get to vote on new game tutorials that come out on the channel, and more. Head to Patreon at patreon.com/meeplementor. We're slowly adding reviews to the channel now, with Holly and I sharing our thoughts on various games, mostly new. For example, we released a review on the new Stronghold Games game, Dolce. It's a great little engine building game and tile placement game. I did an unboxing for the new Hocus Pocus Yahtzee game from the Op Games. It includes a little cauldron to use to shake up the dice. The latest off-the-shelf recommendation video was on Carcassonne. Highly recommend you try it if you haven't. It's a classic. I also unboxed Obsession and its various expansions in one big unboxing video. There's a lot of content there to check out, and I can't wait to play the game. The last unboxing I did was for Ishtar Gardens of Babylon. It's been out for a couple years, but I think it's an underrated gem that everyone should try. I think it works great as a gateway game into modern games, so check it out. The most recent tutorial published was for Libertalia Winds of Galecrest from Stonemaier Games. It's a solid entry into their game roster and a great new reprint and edition of the original. I received the Everdell Complete Collection box and have filmed a full unboxing for it. It's coming out today or tomorrow, so go take a look. It's very impressive how much they include in the box. I mean, it's huge. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for tuning in to today's news update. I appreciate your support. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.